the throw, fire, and down! Incomplete down at the goal line by San Diego! Tomlinson, off the left side, Tomlinson sidestep. Hello, history books. I think they have to now. Here's Sproles. Sproles inside the 10, inside the 5, and the Chargers win the game.
What's up, good people? Welcome to an after hours early here after a nail biter, which didn't feel like it was going to be early in that fourth quarter, but Chargers end up pulling it out 29-27. Craig and I were talking before this, how we start, and I think we'll kind of Quentin Tarantino this, and we'll go from the end and we'll work our way back to the beginning. So let's talk. It was a 13-play, 82-yard drive from Achane, who felt like probably had 60 of those 82 yards on that that second to last drive before the turnover to end the game. And they just marched the ball down the field. They find Darren Waller wide open in the corner of the end zone, thanks to our boy Dante Jackson, who got lost in the sauce there. And then, Craig, a little bit of Herbert magic.
Number 10 is everything, man. And I was told that he wasn't clutch, by the way. I don't know if anyone else heard that, but
that's always been
it's amazing. Like, and I'm sure this won't go and get all the props that it deserves. But anyway, yeah, same thing. The end of that game was, I think I felt all the emotions because there was sort of that here we go again feeling, like, Chargers are up, they blow it at the end. But strangely enough, while I was sitting there and I saw the amount of time that was left, I was actually a little calmer than what I think I've been historically. And I felt like there was still a chance for it to happen. Like that Naeem Miller-Hines return set everything off. And the funny thing is that the only reason he's back there is because they ran out of backs and had to call him up. So his prowess as a return man, again, a guy who hadn't played a live game of football in 2 years, steps out there and probably provides what's going to be one of the biggest plays that goes untalked about. But that set the whole drive off. But then you realize, oh, crap, we're in the worst case scenario. Justin Herbert's going to have to sit back there and pitch the ball. And they won't be able to max protect them because they're going to need as many wide receivers as they can to get out there in routes because they have to move the ball downfield. And you've got the who's of who the hell is that out there blocking for them. And so it didn't look great, but that freaking play to save the game by Herbert-led McConkey that's the stuff of legend, man. You knew that he was going to get attacked. You knew it. There was no way the offensive line was going to hold up. If there were one-on-ones, one of those edge rushers was going to get free. I personally expected it to be a stunt or something up the middle that he was going to have a really hard time avoiding. But he breaks the sack, keeps the play alive, finds Ladd, and Ladd just does his Ladd thing. Ultimately, what we're seeing here is a team that willed its way to a win in a game that some people didn't feel like was a gotta have it, but I absolutely did. You can't go on a 3-game slide, even with everything that's going on. I mean, I know a bunch of teams are dealing with injuries. We don't want to do the false equivalence here because, like I said before, the Chargers have absolutely nothing on their offensive line. And their 2 remaining original offensive linemen were the 2 weakest links of the original starting unit. No other team is dealing with the type of nonsense they're dealing with on the offensive line. And the game is one in the trenches. So the fact that they were able to overcome all of that, and Herbert basically puts it on his back and says, okay, I'm not going to let this go down, and wills his way through a sack to find an open receiver, and Ladd does that. It's amazing. And this could be hard to say at 4-2, this is a turning point in the season, but I think just based on what they've been going through these last 2 weeks, to get a win like this is huge for morale, but also it saves you another week and you get another opportunity to get some guys that you need badly back in the fold.
Yeah, it felt like, there was so much time left. You felt like you had confidence that Herbert was going to bring them back like he's done in the past, but there's just something different about the way they could not get much dialed in the passing game. And for the Dolphins, it felt like they lost the very Chargers way that we're so used to. They've got Justin Herbert dead to rights. He's able to slip through. It's a dump off to McConkey, which, should have been a 5-6 yard gain at that point, is able to make the first guy miss and then, finish it for whatever it was, 40 some odd yards, get him into field goal range. And a great setup block by Haskins, who kind of slipped his body just in front of the defender of McConkey to get a couple extra yards on that. And man, they needed this. I mean, they were on the road. I know the Dolphins, haven't been very good. They're 1-5. But still, with that team, you feel like they still could be dangerous at any point, especially with the way Achane was playing today. And to get this win on the road was huge, because right before this game, the Broncos squeak out a win overseas, and then that puts more pressure on the Chargers, who, going into that game are now a half game down because the Broncos won. And to go out and win this game when they absolutely had to have it, I think was pretty big, because a 3-3, even though that's 500 after a 3-game slide, feels really, really bad. But a 4-2 to kind of get over the hump a little bit on the road and get a win against the Dolphins, it feels a lot better here than losing 3 in a row. That just feels like debilitating. Like they got to make a big move at the deadline type of loss at that point. So it was a big win for them, and for Herbert to come back and get that pass off. I don't know how he did, but he did. By the way, Zion Johnson also running full sprint down the field to try to get ahead and get a block, which was pretty cool to see. But yeah, great play by Herbert at the end of the game. Kind of broke down defensively towards the end there, but they made it work.
Madison, I don't know if you're out there listening, but take my boy out to dinner tonight. Please. Get him whatever he wants. You can afford it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's just kind of go through, because we, normally talk about some of the high points and low points of this game, but offensively, I think we got to touch on Kamani Vidal, because he was probably the star of the show today. I know that, and we talk about during that 3-game winning streak, we kept talking about how like Herbert had some kind of like game defining, like MVP resume type plays to get the Chargers to win, and it feels like he did it. Like he has to do it almost every time the Chargers win. They can't just have a smooth 13-point win like we thought they were going to have today. But again, Herbert does it again, as another crazy play to his resume. And if the Chargers can keep winning, maybe he'll get back in that MVP talk. But Kamani Vidal just looked explosive today. And I know, the Miami defense isn't the best run defense in the league, but it just felt like during the preseason, and we're talking preseason was like against 2s and 3s, Vidal was like stopping his feet, picking the wrong hole, felt like he was thinking a lot behind the line of scrimmage. But today he was explosive. He was getting to the edge quickly. He got a lot of extra yards off the edge. He hit those creases with purpose today. And, I just feel like he ran with much better purpose today. Maybe took some of that stuff that he heard during the week about trades and all that personal. And I got to say, on that touchdown, I absolutely loved that design by Greg Roman. It came off the St. Juste pick. They were off that barge formation that they talked about on the telecast. They loaded it up front, made it look like a 3rd and short run. They leaked out Vidal out of the backfield, short completion, and then, Vidal added some extra yards after that. But 18 for 124 on the ground. He was 4 for 14 through the air, had the touchdown. A very, very impressive day today. When you thought Haskins might be the lead rusher today, Vidal, as soon from handoff 1, became RB1 today, and he played absolutely excellent today.
Funny thing about that formation, so I can't remember exactly what it was, how many tackles, offensive linemen and tight ends. I'm assuming it's somewhere in the 13 area, so like 3 tight ends. That play almost always works, no matter who runs it. In that alignment, typically the safeties are crashing down against the run, so you end up one-on-one with the linebacker on the running back. But they also bite on the play action. So they already lose ground because they commit upfield. And so then they have to get on their horse to get outside, and the running back almost always has the angle, so they can outrun a typically slower linebacker to the pylon. Every time that play is run, it almost always works, no matter where I've seen it, whether it's Pee-wee football, high school, college, every level. That plays almost unstoppable just because of the design of it. And I want to give Greg Roman props. at least second half Greg Roman props.
Yes, yeah, I was
because
gonna talk about
first
that.
half Greg Roman, different story. But we win the game, so I don't want to lean too heavily on that. The fact that he came out in more condensed sets with like that extra tight end in the run game, and finally coming to terms with the fact that quick game had to be the engine of the passing game for the time being, because again, you've got absolutely nobody out there protecting Herbert. That I want to commend him for giving in and allowing that to get to work, because he also utilized the tight ends a ton in the passing game, and I'm sure we'll talk about a couple of those guys later on. But as far as Kamani Vidal went, yeah, he absolutely went Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. 1000% took everything he saw personally, and I don't blame him. Like, you got talk last night. I think I saw that my time somewhere around like 8-9 p.m. I was at a housewarming party for the majority of yesterday. I get home and I sit down and I'm looking. I'm like, oh wow, they're talking about trading for someone. So I just start running through names in my head, and I completely forget. Like, I was a big Kamani Vidal fan coming out that particular draft cycle, but I didn't really know what to expect. And, you know, he kind of falls by the wayside. Last year, he comes out in that first game. He gets that wheel route for a touchdown, and we thought, okay, we got something. And then he kind of slowly dissipates, and you don't hear very much from him. He's inactive, and he's just not a real factor going down on the stretch. And this looks like a revitalized player. Now, granted, keep in mind, yes, the Dolphins, I think, were dead last in the league against the run. But you also have to remember who the Chargers had blocking for those backs today. So it still means something. Like, you still got their ones against our 4s, 5s, and combination of 2 1s. So no, 3, because all of our interior offensive linemen were there, but that ain't saying a whole lot.
Yeah.
Kamani Vidal ran like a man possessed today. And you could tell he was on fire. There were certain plays where he would take the handoff and he felt where the creases were going to be when they weren't there. Like, that's not something I've seen from him before. He's not, I've never said he's not patient. Sometimes he's overly patient. And then sometimes things don't develop and he gets stopped before his feet get a chance to start. Today, he was doing that Le'Veon Bell thing. He's pressing the hole, pressing the line, finding the hole, and then even before it was there, he's taking off to it, and you just kind of see it part a little bit. He splits it and he gets upfield. And the kid's got good speed. Like, he's not a world beater. He's not a 4.3 dude, but I think Kamani's like mid 4.4s, something like that. So he can get going. And it's more so build up speed. His acceleration is decent, but once he gets chugging, it's hard to catch him. And he was running tough. And you can tell when the running back's really, really feeling it. I don't know if a lot of people like play basketball, you know what the feeling of being in the zone. Like, as a running back, it's similar, but I'm saying this because I played running back before I converted to wide receiver. It's a feeling where it's like there are openings everywhere and they turn up where you want them to. So even where the play is designed, if the play doesn't hit there, you know where you want to hold it, develop, and you literally in your head create it, and then it's there. Even if the crease really isn't there, you create it, and you get through arm tackles, and you can gash teams that way. And that's what was going on today. And then him in the passing game, he's more than capable as a receiver. So now the question becomes, and again, this could probably be a conversation later on. Now that this game's over, do you now feel like running back is a pressing need to where you want to have to give up draft capital to go after one? It's a question that has to be asked, but as far as what Kamani did today, I think he serviced himself very well and made a point that they don't need anyone else. He can hold down the fort along with Haskins until Hampton gets back. Is that a viable thing with some of the matchups they have coming up here? I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah. I made that joke on Twitter earlier, and people thought I was serious, but I was like, why are they out exploring that trade market when you got Kamani Vidal running for 124 today?
Yeah, let's keep it realistic, though. Let's be realistic, folks. Yeah.
They're not going to play Miami every week. They are not, and I know that, and I was just kidding. But he at least bought himself a game or two to, be that RB1 at least next week. And if things don't work out, then they can start to explore that. But for now, man, the Chargers did not miss Hampton today. Vidal picked up and did enough with the rock. And it sounds like Hampton might be out more than 4 weeks, was a report early this morning. So, I think it sounds like that they're looking on the market because they know that Haskins is probably going to take a little bit more than a month.
Yeah.
But, we'll have to see how that goes.
I don't think you play with you don't tempt fate here. Go out and get another back. If Hampton's going to be out more than a month, then you're playing with fire because you're anticipating that Vidal stays healthy as well. And we know that Haskins is more of a short yardage style back. You could ask Naeem Miller-Hines to come up and be more of your change of pace running back. But again, another guy who's just getting in the groove of not having played ball in 2 years. You don't want to tempt that. Go out and get another back, even if it's not technically a 1A guy. There are definitely some names out there to be had with teams who aren't going anywhere anytime soon and probably looking to offload. So let's not do the hurry up and wait game. That's Chargers teams of the past.
Yeah.
Go out and get ahead of it before it becomes a problem. That way, when you run into scenarios like the Chargers have this year, which is kind of sort of unprecedented. I know you can't account for all these injuries, but while you still have something that's hot, do something to secure it and get yourself another back that can go in there. And if you got to have a 3-headed monster, perfect. It's better than going down your best guy and then looking and finding that you got literally like, I don't know, Walmart greeters to run out there and tilt the pill. So let's not do that.
Yeah. What do you think about, maybe this is too big brain, but what do you think about Kamani Vidal, obviously at his highest trade peak right now? Do you big brain it and be like, man, maybe we can figure out some kind of running back at that point? Or are you not even tempting that?
Wait, are you talking about trading Vidal?
Yeah, trading Vidal.
Dude, like this, like I knew I heard it, but I immediately started thinking about fantasy football. Is this a trade, like a trade high scenario?
Sell high, sell high.
Nah, sell high.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, nobody's gonna look at this game and feel like they gotta have that dude. If somebody is crazy enough, then what are you willing to give up for it? The problem at this point is draft capital. Like the Chargers are down to 5 picks going into next year, and I know that's got to be hurting Joe Ortiz with the way he likes to hoard picks. So again, the question becomes: are you digging into the 2027 bag? Are teams going to be willing to give up anything viable for a pick in 2 years? We'll see. I guess it's better than just letting a guy walk if they're in the last year of their deal. So, but I would much rather hold on to Vidal and get him in, team him up with like maybe a bigger back with a little bit of speed to him, and allow Haskins to get some touches here and there, but he's a huge contributor on special teams, so you don't want to gas him out.
Yeah,
but I still think they got to get another back for sure,
and I'm sure they will. You can't feel confident about that group right now. So let's go on to another guy who had a pretty big game today, and that's Dante Jackson, who fumbled early. And you knew it affected him because he threw that towel over his head, which is the universal sign for, man, I don't want the camera to see me, and I may need to shed a tear or two. I am not happy. But after that, he felt like Herbert's go-to target. Much after that, he had, I think, 8 targets today. I thought he led the team, but Ladd apparently had 9. But 7 catches, 68 yards, got some big first down. Was a nice receiving weapon for Herbert today, and feels like a thing that could be something going forward, because it feels like that was really working today.
Interestingly enough, so you see him sitting on the sideline with the towel over his head, and I immediately thought, kid, you can't do that, because that's the universal sign of I'm in the tank and I'm cooked the rest of the day. But no, he got back on the field, put it behind him, and he was literally tied with Ladd for the most receptions on the day, which I didn't even realize. But 7 receptions, 68 yards. There was an opportunity for him to have a touchdown, but there was a little bit of late pressure that got to Herbert, so you really couldn't put the ball on him the way he wanted to. This is the second time that's actually happened, by the way. Yeah. So it's coming, kid. It's absolutely coming. You're going to get it. But for him to go out there and perform the way that he did today, it brings me back to that conversation on the day he was drafted, where Jim Harbaugh gave him that call and said, hey, we have a plan for you. And it's coming to fruition. Now, part of that has to do with injuries. And Disley was back today, and he was still a part of the offense. Keep that in mind. There's another guy who you didn't see anything from today, and I'm not even going to say his name because we all hate him for the most part. And the fact that Dante Jackson was out there taking those snaps and making those plays tells me all I need to know about what the plan is moving forward, and I'm perfectly fine with it. If he ends up not being on the roster anymore, happy trails to you, dude. I hope you find something else that works out for you somewhere else, but you ain't helping this team.
I am between 2 guys who this could be, and I don't know which one you're talking about.
No. It's a tight end.
Okay.
I just don't want to say his name.
I thought you meant a converted defensive lineman that turned fullback. Okay.
Nah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, well, we know the story with him. No, there's a tight end that people were trying to hype up during the offseason that they felt were going to be a big part of the offense, but there's a reason why the dude's been a nomad in the NFL. Yeah. You can't overlook stuff like that. I know situations can help determine a guy's path, but he's been more of a net negative than anything so far this season.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not going to say his name still. I'm just going to keep talking about
you
him
don't have to.
ambiguously. So forget it. But the kid is cooking. So moving forward, they got another late round steal. And a lot of people are giving Mr. Ortiz a hard time about some of the moves that he's not made and feeling like he's doing like the sleepy thing at the wheel. But a lot of these picks are paying off. And he can't do everything perfectly. But when he's hitting, he's hitting. And these late round picks are really, really coming in handy and becoming huge contributors on the team, whether that's on the offensive or defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Will Dissly come back and only get 2 targets today, one of which was a nice little misdirection on a screen, but we can get to that bunch of plays. But, we're talking about, a guy who was coming in to fill in for a couple tight ends, one I guess we won't name for whatever reason today, and Will Dissly. But very clearly Gaston being the tight end 1 going forward. And it's a pretty far jump this early in the season for Will Dissly, who was 1. Thou, who shall not be named, was, tight end 2. And then it was kind of like Tucker Fisk and Rondé Gaston in the 2, tight end 3-4 role going like into camp and then rolling into preseason. And then now it's like Gadsden's your maybe third, fourth weapon on offense now. It's been a nice progression early on in his career, and it was a nice little bounce back today after that fumble, which, it happens, but, he was able to bounce back and really helped towards the end of that second half when they really needed a mount to come back.
So you could tell the Dolphins were really focused in on creating turnovers. Like that was the second fumble of the day. The first came by Keenan on a punch out, but he was able to gather that one back up. And same thing happened with Rondé. Defender came downhill and punched the ball out as he was going to the ground. So you could tell they were making a concerted effort to get the ball out. And it just didn't work out for him that first time. But it tells you all you need to know about the mentality of a kid like this. For him to be able to get back in the game and perform and be one of the top performers in the passing game after that happens, just the mentality of someone to do that in their first year in the NFL and not feeling completely dejected and defeated tells you all you need to know about the makeup of that kid. So I'm riding with him going forward.
And I'm happy with the staff. And part of me feels like it was an old Telesco thing, but all these old Chargers coaches, they would ride a veteran until the wheels fell off. And at this point, if Will Dissly came back and we were in a Staley, Lynn, or McCoy era, Will Dissly would have had all the snaps, and Gaston would have been as a blocking tight end for a handful of snaps today, 10 to 15 today. But he is by far the best tight end on the roster, especially as a receiving weapon, and they are just going to keep rolling with it. And I'm happy for that because teams of old would not have done that.
We got the vaunted slow motion Will Dissly screen pass, and it's still as unstoppable as ever. You can never make me understand how that works. But dude, like he doesn't just catch it, he makes people miss in the open field. It's like he's moving so slow they can't believe what's happening in front of their eyes. They don't think it's real. Almost looks like I don't know what goes on with defenders. Getting beat by Will Dissly in the open field is like a cuttable offense, in my personal opinion. But he does it every week. Every time they run that play, it goes for like 10 plus, and I still can't understand it. But some things aren't meant to be explained.
By the way, since we're kind of talking about that was part of a cluster of plays that Greg Roman ran right out of halftime, which I feel like really jump-started the offense. Obviously, they were slow to go. They got some turnovers in the first half, didn't really capitalize a lot on them. We're struggling in the red zone. And then, we got a lad touchdown, but it just on that the beginning of halftime, which really felt like it sparked the offense and really helped, propel them to this win because we saw, the run game was working pretty good. The pass game, Herbert was just attacked so often. He didn't have enough time to throw, but we saw, Herbert hit Keenan near a sideline for a first down, which was a quick out so that it was a quick timing route so that they get the ball out of Herbert's hands fast. Then they were able to attack the seam with the lad on a play action. Then they had that misdirection screen to Will Dissly where it looks like they're running it to the right, and then everybody's flowing right, and they go back left with Will Dissly and one blocker in front of him and somehow make somebody miss. Every time Will Dissly catches the ball, I feel like I sat on the remote and it like slowed down, and I look around, but He got the first down. A beautiful pick play from Keenan and Ladd followed that for a first down. And they kept going, this looked like the play from the Chiefs. And you're like, no, man. Juju Smith-Schuster hit that DB.
Yeah.
Ladd just slid in front of the DB in front of Keenan and was able to get the first down. He made no contact. That's how a pick play has worked. That thing with Juju was an absolute penalty, but regardless. Then we saw them cap it off with a Ladd touchdown where Herbert's rolling out. It felt like also today that Herbert could have had like maybe 2 or 3 first downs with his feet, but just decided not to run with it. That being one of them, but he just kept buying time and buying time and buying time. Ladd works back to the football and they get a touchdown. They were able to march that ball down methodically. They were able to jump ahead again, and then they kind of, fell back a little late in that game. But that cluster of plays, that scripted out of the half bunch of plays from Greg Roman was huge for how this game ended up turning out, because if they went back to the well again, like they did in the first half, I don't feel like it would have been the same. But that drive coming out of halftime really helped them win this game today.
You said exactly what I was thinking as far as coming out in the second half with the script, because it felt like every play on that drive was a part of a second half game script.
Mm-hmm.
So not every offensive coordinator does that. They might not have like that opening game script that they have to match that in the second half. Like, hey, if we come out and we get the ball in the second half, I already have the plays in mind. I mean, you would think that most offensive coordinators do, but some of it depends on like the adjustments that you have to make at halftime. Or if you're just lighting a team up, you just want to continue doing what you're doing. But the offense got super stagnant there in the early portions of the second half towards the end of the half. And then Roman just came out. And like I mentioned before, he decided that, we got to do what we technically should have been doing for the last few weeks. Utilize that quick game, get our tight ends involved, use them on the perimeter, get Justin Herbert on the move. So lots of boot actions, things like that to help get him out of trouble. It cuts the field in half, but with Justin Herbert's arm, that's not really a thing. I, again, want to commend Greg Roman for doing what needed to be done there in the second half, because he's having to navigate around a porous offensive line. And Herbert looked like he had full confidence. He didn't seem squeamish today at all. He's been taking shots for the last 3 weeks, to the point to where, like, you would think every time he has to take a 5 or 7 step drop, he's just super paranoid and he's probably just going to be spraying the ball all over the field. The one time I remember him running just a clean 7-step drop is the first time they did it. It resulted in a sack. And I'm like, oh, God, here we go again. But he just took it like a champ, came back the remainder of the game, and didn't let any of it faze him. He knows he's going to get hit, and he's still out there making plays. So, again, I want to give huge credit to Greg Roman in the second half for doing what he needed to do. And that script was beautiful to get things kicked off in the third quarter. It shifted the momentum. They, rode the way for a little bit, got super testy there in the fourth quarter, but they were able to maintain and pull it out. But doing what they did to start the third quarter, I think, is what ultimately carried them. I know we got to the end of the game and the heroics there, but that drive to start the third quarter probably shifted the entire game.
Yeah, and there was a quote that I was looking up while you were talking. Right before we got on, they were interviewing Harbaugh about that last play that you're just mentioning. And Harbaugh said, that play will be burning in my mind until they throw dirt over top of me, which is a perfect Herbert quote and perfect Harbaugh quote. And how we all feel about that Herbert play. It was awesome.
Oh, man, Harbaughisms are the best.
He is really the best, and I can't have him go anywhere because I don't want this coach speak stuff. This is just, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It's he loves that play, and we were all wowed by it, but he just he adds so much color to it. It's I can't get enough of it. I can't. Also want to shout out Trey Harris today. I thought he had a pretty good game. We had a real nice catch and move on the outside in the third quarter, where it's just kind of a quick pass one-on-one on the outside. He made the first guy miss, got a pretty good gain. And then there was a really, really nice catch on a third down in the third quarter where they ran that pick play again, but it was Keenan who slid in front of Trey. And then Trey caught it, but the spin move after the catch got the yards for the first down. So it was a nice play for him to find out where he was at and get down. I think he had 4 catches today. It was under 30, but a nice little momentum for Trey Harris moving forward too.
Trey's ready, man. It might have only been 4 catches for 27 yards, which is the exact same numbers Keenan had, but he made the most of every opportunity. So he got targeted 5 times, caught 4. The only one he didn't catch, well, he technically caught it. He just didn't get his feet down. That was an amazing catch where he was trying to like toe tap, and Herbert just let him too far because he was throwing it on the run.
Yeah.
Basically escaping another sack. That was a crazy throw and catch. It didn't count, but hell,
yeah,
it looked like a highlight to me. I'm going to rewatch that over and over again just because it was just phenomenal looking. So yeah, Trey's ready. And again, it speaks to the depth in his wide receiver room, which was something that was a huge question mark at the beginning of the season because Quentin Johnston's had a very good year. Of course, he was not available today. We saw last night that he was trending towards being out, and he was with the hamstring issue. Soft tissue injuries are a bugger, and especially the hamstring. So I'm not sure how long he's going to be dealing with this. It's probably going to affect him for a few. I was actually curious because initially my first thought was like, okay, well, Trey's going to get burned. But I'm like, wait a minute. Trey's been playing Z. So is it going to be KLS? KLS hasn't been on the field nearly as much as Trey. So it's going back and forth about who it was going to be. I mean, KLS got a few snaps, but you can clearly see the next man up is who it was always intended to be, which is Trey. We fell in love with KLS during camp and the big plays he was making, but the guy that can basically do a little bit of all of it is the one that they selected in the second round. So him getting out on the field today, making the most of his opportunities just gives me additional like confidence that, hey, if somebody has to miss time, we've got a kid that's ready in the wings to go. He's essentially a starting wide receiver right now from what I saw today. That's starting level wide receiver play.
Yeah.
So if you have to go without QJ for a bit, you can slide Trey in there. You can get him playing a little bit of X and Z. He's a bigger body guy, but he's got some wiggle to him. So I think Z is definitely a possibility for him to continue playing as well. And you don't feel like there's any real drop off. You don't necessarily have the top end speed of like a QJ, but you got a bigger body guy that can still win down the field. He can win in contested catches. He can win short, shallow crosses over the middle. He can win after the catch as far as yak yards. So I feel really good about Trey. And if QJ is down for a couple of weeks, I don't think there's going to be a ton of drop off. And that's no disrespect to QJ. It's just that they so happen to draft a really good player in the second round. And you kind of got a little lanyard going there in the wide receiver room.
I love it. And like the chat is saying right now, also both rookies did really good in the run game as well. So
Harris is a phenomenal run blocker. I almost can guarantee you, like last week, I don't want to have to go back to the game, but last week it was like the first play from scrimmage. Trey was on the field, and I'm like, okay, this is a run for sure. I think they put him out in motion. He led out to the corner, and this is what he does. He's got an all-around game. So again, the kid's ready.
Yeah. All right. Anybody? You want to touch on that a little bit? I mean, a nice little bounce back game today.
Yeah,
over 100 yards.
Yeah. Now, granted, 42 of those yards came on that last reception, but never the mind, still huge and clutch when it mattered. What I love the most about Ladd is for a guy that's like 6 foot, maybe 190 pounds, maybe. I think we're being generous. He's fearless. He took a shot on that drive in the third quarter. We're talking about that scripted drive.
Yeah.
That I was a little worried about how he was going to look when he got up. Now he gets up and he flexes after it. Like that tells me all I need to know about the type of player he is. What he does after the catch has to piss DBs off because he does that little, like, it reminds me of chasing my kids around when they were smaller. And they do like this little run in a circle thing. And it doesn't make sense because as wide receivers, what you're taught to do when you catch the ball, depending on where you are on the field, but generally is to catch the ball and get outside to the sideline. Ladd doesn't do that. He'll catch a ball and he'll spin immediately inside. He'll stutter. He'll make you try to decide where he's going to go. And he's still gaining ground upfield. And then he'll add like another 2 to 3 yards at the end of the play. He's really unconventional after the catch. And I know, like I said before, it's annoying for DBs because you want to attack him, but if you miss and he makes you wrong, it's going for like another 30, 40 yards. Yeah. So you're almost sitting there trying to guess right, but waiting for help to come to make sure you get him on the ground. He's like an irritant to defensive backs. And the day that he had today is like further proof. Whenever you see him run, it can be a curl, it can be a cross or whatever it is. Just look at him at the catch point. He gets his hands on the ball and immediately he's thinking, how can I make your life hell after I catch this ball for another at least 4 to 5 yards? And having that type of mentality as a smaller wide receiver is huge because there's really no super weakness to his game outside of the fact that he's not a bigger body guy, so he's not going to win much in the contested department. But everything else, he's solid at. They still don't even use him up the field vertically as much as they can because Ladd can run, as proof was today. You saw in that last play. I actually thought he was going to house it, but there was a really good angle. I think either the corner or safety had on him that slowed him down a little bit. But now you're seeing Ladd perform to the level that we saw Ladd last year and living up to those expectations. It's been a slow start, mainly because they've been kind of QJ heavy the first few weeks. And this is what happens when you have solid quality depth in the wide receiver room. You can get a guy who was your number 1 last year who ends up being your number 2 or 3, and people think something's wrong with them. But the truth of the matter is like you just got options, and that's never a bad thing.
There's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense, for sure. Yeah, so a great little bounce back performance from Ladd, and I know 42 came on that last play, but it was 42 of the most important yards he had all day. So good on Ladd. And then I don't really have much else offensively, but I do want to say, man, Bobby Hart is just not a football player. I mean, he might be a painter or something else, but this is not his calling. I know he's been in this league, and it's his first start since whatever the graphic said, 21, I think, or something. It looked like it, man. That last drive, Jalen Phillips just like ran straight at him. There was no like hand fighting, no chop, no twist, no spin. He just ran by him every single time, and Herbert got hit each time. Good on Herbert to get the ball away on that first one, would end up being an incompletion, but just to like not take the negative yards and to get away. And then on that next play to just avoid everything and hit Ladd somehow, some way, which all the pressure came from the left side, left tackle, left guard, both let their guys run right by him. But man, and he had multiple penalties today. Bobby Hart was just terrible.
I think the graphic showed that he added 2 more today. So I don't know if it was 23 or 24, but he had at the time 22 false starts in his career. And procedural penalties are ridiculous because, bro, when you leave the huddle, you know what the snap count is.
Yeah.
Like, you know that. And I get sometimes when you're on the road, it's super loud, but no, it wasn't rocking like that. Like,
they were booing Tua.
Yeah.
Like they were on your side.
Bro. Bobby,
the Dolphins were on your side.
There's a reason this gentleman has been sitting at home in his beanbag chair for the last 2+ years. And this also shows you the depths the Chargers have to go to get somebody that weighs 300+ pounds to play tackle. I know a couple guys, and I feel like they'd be really hard to move. Now, I don't necessarily know that they can move their feet all that well, but you're not going to move them. That's better than what I saw from Bobby Hart today. You're asking for trouble when you start playing really, really competent teams. And the reason why today was scary is because if the Dolphins have nothing else going for them, they still have an above average pass rush. And they have multiple guys that they can throw at you, which is what my fear was about today. So you're talking about a guy like Bobby Hart, who wasn't good when he was playing on a weekly basis, not playing football for a couple years, coming back and being like, yeah, I got this, man. Like, no problem. Every time I saw him one-on-one, if there wasn't a tight end that helped Chip, it was a loss. I think I saw him win maybe out of the entire day 2 reps, maybe. And yeah, I'll go back and rewatch just to make certain here, but he was getting whipped all day long. I don't think anyone's surprised, but this is what the Chargers have to lean on because, again, everybody's out there getting annoyed about who they're trading for and who they aren't. This is the problem in the NFL. Offensive linemen, good ones, come at a premium. Teams aren't willing to trade them. And if you do give up something for them, you have to give up a ton, and that's just for one. So they're trying to make hay with what they can on the roster. Sawyer wasn't out there today. So you've got guys out there that typically wouldn't even be able to stick on teams' practice squads protecting Herbert. And I'm just thankful that 10 got out there healthy and we were able to come out with the win, which tells you that this team still has a resilient spirit to it. And though I don't want to test this every week, you're going to have to win games like this from time to time throughout the season. So hopefully they come up with a better plan for protection of Herbert moving into next week when they take on the Colts. Oh, man, they got to wear the all yellows next week, too. I forgot about that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, that's going to be hard to watch on TV. I think I might black and white that one. But again, yeah, Bobby, Thank you for getting us through today. I never want to see you on the field again.
Yeah, nah, heartbreaker. Let's and speaking of trades, you're talking about trades, and yeah, hopefully there's a lot of there's help on the way. Max coming back, and Alt should be back, and Salyer and Pipkins, and there should be some help coming. But we just don't know when. And this would be a good week, but we just don't know. But speaking of trades, we saw Adofe Owe. Am I saying it right?
Adafe Owe.
Adafe Owe got his first sack today. It was on like the second.
I think it was on
play.
was it his first snap or no?
I don't know. I think it was like the second play of the game, though. Second or third play. Third. It was on third down because they punted.
Okay.
So
I think it was his first snap.
Yeah. First drive. Gets the sack on third down. They forced a punt. Also had a huge hit on Tua, who he didn't see coming. Hit him as he was throwing, forced an incompletion. But very good day from the brand new addition for the Chargers.
All right. I'm not gonna gloat. I'm not gonna do it. I won't. But I will say that 3 months ago, a certain guy, you can find him on Twitter, said that this was the target the Chargers should be after.
That guy is you. I mean, you just go to Top Flight. It's there.
Just there, down there, right there. You'll see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what I meant. This is somebody that has the athletic profile the Chargers have lacked for years at edge rusher. All they have are power guys. What they don't have is like the lengthy, bendy, speedy dude who can make life really difficult for those more athletic QBs. And granted, that ain't exactly what Tua is. But when you got somebody like breathing down your neck from the backside or wherever, whether he's coming front or backside, pause that if necessary.
Don't need to.
It's something you have to contend with all game long, and it's in the back of your mind every time you take a snap. Owe at his pro day ran 4.37. Now, keep in mind, this is a 6'5", 250+ pound man. And I forget how long, I think it was a 34-inch arm, something along those lines. So he's one of those lab-built type dudes. And he had 10 sacks just last year. Now, this season with the Ravens, they're a complete mess. They're dealing with injuries on their own on the defense. So things just aren't going well for them. And they were not in a rush to sign him to an extension. They picked up his fifth-year option, but they also still drafted another edge rusher this past season. So, draft cycle. So the writing was kind of on the wall. And to me, it just made all the sense in the world. So you get this guy out there. And one of the favorite parts about his game for me is the fact that he understands that he has to earn the right to rush the passer. So he's not like really upset about not getting the sacks. He knows they'll come, but his mentality is to stop the run and then get after the quarterback, because you have to do that. Unless you're playing one of these air raid teams, you have to stop them on first and second down to force them into obvious passing situations, and then you can go hunt. So he takes first and second down very seriously. You saw that on a couple of occasions today. Like those two plays where Achane got to the edge and won, they were not on Adafe's side when he was in. When Adafe was in and they tried that, he was there to set the edge, force the play back inside, either make the play or slow the play down so that the second level guys can make it. That's what was missing last week against the Commanders. And now you have that on your team for the cost of Alohi Gilman and a safety room that you have plenty of depth at, and a 5th round pick, which I get it. That's kind of where Ortiz works his magic in the 5th round. But when you have edge rushers that can affect the game the way that Owe proved that he can, literally from his first snap today, you're willing to give that up. So again, kudos for, Ortiz doing what he had to do and getting another edge rusher in here. Now, of course, we know there's that connection between the Ravens and the Chargers. I think we won this one, just being honest. But Owe is someone who's going to be a vital part of this team for the remainder of the season. You have to keep in mind, Khalil Mack is going to be back at some point. And then Thule gets another sack today. And that is a very nice 3-man rotation at the edge position. Bud Dupree, Bud's cooked. I don't know if you guys have been watching it.
Yeah,
it just is what it is. He can set an edge every once in a while, but he's not getting after the quarterback. It's just not a thing. So keeping that in mind, you got a guy like this, and you drafted Kyle Kennard, who's just not ready to go yet. Whether it's setting the edge or getting after the quarterback, he just gets stymied right off of the ball. He's not super bendy or bursty off the line. And you got his polar opposite in Owe. What pissed me off a few times today was seeing in obvious passing situations Bud Dupree and Kyle Kennard on the field and Owe on the sideline. It made absolutely no sense. This isn't a guy who's not familiar with your scheme. They literally run basically the same thing in Baltimore. And it's not like you got to get his wind behind him, right? He's tired or he'll get tired too quickly. No, he's been playing. He's been in a rotation, I believe, in Baltimore too. So I'm not saying you had to run him out there for like 80% of the snaps, but use him for what you know he can absolutely do, at least on those obvious third down packages. What you should never do is have Kyle Kennard or Bud Dupree out on the field on third down when you're trying to get off the field instead of him.
Mm-hmm. You were talking about Thule and his sack today, which I love that rep from him. Winning on the inside, just went with his hands, man. Slapped the hands off, got inside, got it on Savanaya, who, by the way, he is terrible, man. I don't know what happened. I didn't think he was all that great coming out of college. He felt like a mid-round guy. I think we had I don't remember who did, but I had a 3rd or 4th round grade on him, and I think they picked him in the 2nd round or something. They went real high on him. He's looked awful so far. And their offensive line is terrible. And they went out and drafted an offensive lineman to help, and it is getting worse. But good on Thule to win that rep and get that sack on the inside. And then we saw Minter throw up the Thule T as well after the celebration, which was cool. And then we got to go talk about these turnovers because they got 3 today. They got the interception, the Tony Jefferson interception with Tar Heap still in coverage. And immediately it was like Gilman who, like already Tony Jefferson's getting the interception, always getting a sack. And we're like, addition by subtraction, baby. Get Gilman off out of a Chargers jersey. And all of a sudden that defense is looking a little bit better on the back end. And then we saw Benjamin St. Juste make a great play to cut inside Devon Achane and dive on the ball for an interception. A guy that nobody wanted on this team when they signed him, but a big interception there today. And then Derwin James, who missed the interception early in the game with the ball go straight through his hands. Ingold catches it and turns it into like 30 plus yards. And then he gets the interception to win it and made it when it counted. But 3
Why didn't he house that?
I know. It felt like he just it was over and he just wanted to go out of bounds.
DJ, to get that, well, you got the pick, so you made up for the one you missed earlier. But just to get the bad taste out of your mouth, because that was a bad drive. You missed the pick, and then you got your angle got burned by Achane for a touchdown. Man, go house that. Make us forget all about it. Run the score up. Leave no doubt. I would have been perfectly fine with it. But I mean, DJ, you're a better guy than me, apparently. I'm petty. I would have housed it and front flipped. And tried to stick the landing. Yeah, forget about that drive. In
pads. You think he could do that now in pads?
No, not now.
Yeah. But if you're Derwin James, absolutely.
Yeah, my knees would buckle. Yeah, you're talking about. I don't want to imagine the type of injury I'd sustain there. I got a torn meniscus that I never got surgery on, and I'm just thinking about that is making it ache.
Yeah. Don't push that.
Nah. Oh wait.
Yeah.
So still, we mentioned Jesse Minter. Now, I made a joke about this, but seriously, hey, Greg Roman, you might want to subscribe to the Jesse Minter School of Dog Whistling because that's how Odafe Owe got here. I know what I said about offensive linemen before, so I don't think it's super realistic that you're going to get a very good one via a trade. But Jesse Minter stood in front of a lectern 2 weeks ago and told you that I think that Thule would have much more production if he had a higher level edge playing opposite of him. And then 2 weeks later, you have Odafe Owe. Greg, I'm not saying I'm just saying closed mouths don't get fed, dog. That's all I'm saying.
And then what else we got defensively? We go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you talked about Benjamin St. Juste, and the real MVP is Steve Klingscale.
Dude, I knew you were gonna go there.
I mean, let's talk about it. Benjamin St. Juste looks like a serviceable corner. Who would imagine that? Like, I get that. You have to keep in mind everything this man's working with. You got 2 fifth-round corners a year ago that became starters and got to produce right away that nobody expected to get playing time. And now you have a complete cast-off who they see something there clearly. He's got length. He's got athletic ability. Totally understand. But the way that he gets chef sauteed, hibachied up from week to week from what we saw last year as a Commander and every year prior to that, in his career, it made no sense to think that he'd come out there and be someone that you could put out on the field for significant snaps. And they've turned him into a serviceable corner. That pick today was tremendous. Like, to be able to jump that, get your hands on the ball, come away with it, and create a scoring opportunity for your team says a whole lot, because you have to be a confident player to sit on a route and break like that and not be afraid of being beat. It means two things. You trust what's behind you as far as protection from your teammates, so there's good communication there. And you also understand your assignments and your technique. So he played that rep perfectly. It turned into a turnover for the Chargers. And look, as long as Benjamin St-Juste isn't hampering his team like he did last week when I swore that man was a double agent, I'm perfectly fine with him being out there on the field. So, yeah, but again, salute and all thanks goes to Steve Cleanscale above all of them, because for that man to have what he's been working with and turn it into what it is now says a whole lot about him. And if Jesse Minter leaves, I would not be shocked if he's the next up for the DC job.
Yeah, he's been a unsung hero there a little bit. Clinksdale does not get the praise he deserves. I'm glad we're giving it to him now. Because St-Juste was not only a cast off, but like almost run out of town. Like, they hated St-Juste in Washington, the fans did at least. And then he ended up getting burnt in the playoff games, and they were just like, get him off my team. Chargers signed him, and it felt like he was like almost like a cut casualty towards the end of training camp. And then he makes the cut and now is making plays. And it was a great play to dive inside of Achane. Granted, the ball was a little bit behind him, but to dive in and make that play in front was a big play. Also want to say that that play by Dante Jackson to cut underneath the Ingle block and get that tackle for a loss on Achane was great. Leaving Darren Waller wide open in the back corner of an end zone, not so great. But shout out for that play, because that was a good one.
So that one I want to go back and watch, because I'm not sure if it was Dante Jackson's fault or not. It was definitely a zone coverage. Mm-hmm. But what I also saw in the back of the end zone were both safeties confused about who to pass off to who. And I don't know if that meant that one of the safeties was supposed to follow into the corner towards the pylon, or if the corner was supposed to drop back. But he was so shallow in depth, it doesn't feel like he was supposed to be back there. It seemed like it was almost a safety miscommunication. And I saw them get confused on the back end. So definitely. I'd have to rewatch it again. But that open field tackle he made was tremendous, because you beat the block and you make a beeline to cause a tackle for loss. And again, Dante Jackson's not the biggest guy, but one of the things that you really have to like about his game is the ruggedness, because he's not afraid to get down and get dirty, whether it's in the running game or on plays like that, where he's going to create the contact and it's not arm tackling. He's trying to decapitate you if he gets an opportunity to. So, yeah, again, everything that Steve is doing with this entire DB room speaks volumes for the level of coaching development that he has.
We were talking about that Thule sack, and then Minter throwing up the tee. Did you see the celebration between, I think it was Thule and Abonia after the sack?
No, but I know Thule has a handshake with like 10 different people on the team. It was
weird. I don't know. They just were like slapping hands like 12 times in a row, and they didn't have anything come after it. It was weird. I'm gonna have to find it. But the camera,
they're trying to figure it out on the fly.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then they shoot to Minter, who's doing the tee, and you're like, oh, cool. But then it just dawned on me. I remember going like, what the hell were they doing over there? All right. Anything else defensively? We talked about the sacks. We talked about all that. Anything while I find this video?
We're still talking about DBs, because I feel like we can do this every week. Tarheeb still made a huge tackle on a receiver out of bounds to stop the clock late. He got underneath, got him by his legs, and propelled him to the sideline to get the clock stopped, saving the Chargers a timeout. Just again, speaking to the level of development from these later round players that are literally key members of the defense. And I still say that the strength of the Chargers defense is their defensive secondary. You can see some lapses from time to time, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, those dudes are on the field a bunch. When the offense is in the tank like they were for a little bit today, those 3 and outs, those super short drives, asking those guys to go out there and run all day long. What's the saying? Exhaustion makes cowards of us all, or whatever it is. I don't forget exactly how it says, but again, outside of just that, it forces you to think about how tired you are and might make you screw an assignment as well. So you saw some of that going on today in the third and fourth quarter until the offense got going again, and then they were able to pick it up. So again, just happy about the opportunities these guys have had and the development they're showing even as younger players. It bodes well for the future.
Huge tackle from Still. Okay, I found the video. I'm gonna share it here.
Okay.
Okay, so we can go over the sack, which is huge, but obviously Thule's lined up here, and he's ready to uncork. This stance here. If you're Savanaya, get ready. Here he goes. Cut inside. Here's the sack. Okay, so here, always doing the T already. He knows about it. Okay, Abonia comes over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What was that? We gotta work on that. I don't think they knew what they were doing. It felt like Thule just stuck his hand out, and Abonia was like, "Hey, I'm gonna slap this a couple times."
Yeah. See, I think there was one of the Chargers videos this week where they showed Thule, and he has like a handshake with multiple players on the team. It felt like he saw Abonia and was like, "I don't have one with you."
Yeah. Do we have a handshake?
Yeah.
And he's like,
what
"No,
are we
wait.
doing?
I'm gonna do this real
man.
quick, and then you." Yeah.
And personally, I love
Mentor.
that because I live for awkward moments. So there's nothing better than stuff like this for me.
Oh, that cracks. Oh, hey. Oh, what's up? Dude, there's like a moment where he looks down. Wait. He like looks down, then looks up, and like, who am I doing a high five with?
Yeah.
He's like looking down, and then he looks.
not used to you being on the field, actually. So it's really weird. I think that was what it was. He's like, I thought you were someone else.
Oh God. Oh, that was funny. Anyway, they gotta figure that out. He might have a bunch with a bunch of people, but he's got to remember it, because when you get that live cam on you, you better be able to do that handshake.
Tito ain't one of those guys.
No. Here's what I do want to say though, and we don't really talk about special teams a lot, but
I know where you're
Justin
going. Go for
Aboigbe,
Egg boy,
made 2 huge hits today on special teams. And you're going, dang, man, they've got some violence. And then Delshon Phillips hits the spine buster, or the edge's spear, and takes the returner off his feet and slams him to the ground. It was, man, they were playing with some aggression today. That return team was real good. They were hitting today.
Interestingly enough, the coverage team has been a bit of an issue the last couple of weeks, and it started off that way again today on the first return. I'm like, oh crap, they still don't have this together. Man, listen, Justin Aboigbe is 300 pounds. The fact that he's even out there at the position that he's playing on kickoff tells you how freakishly athletic he is. You also have seen him line up at edge a few times in the last couple of weeks as well. There's a plan there. And remember, when they took him, everybody was just kind of like, feels like a reach. But they saw him as like a second round guy. And it's all been about the development. So he put on the extra weight to get up over 300 pounds. You've seen him make a couple plays defensively. But to be out there on kick coverage and to not only get upfield, you would expect him to be one of the last people to get to the ball carrier. But nah, when you see that line sprinting down there, he's not the last dude, which is crazy to say again, as someone who's 300 pounds. And it wasn't a fluke because he did it twice today. And yeah, like if you got guys like that willing to lay it out on the line, especially at that size, it tells you about the character of the player. But also, I could see some additional snaps coming for him defensively, because that's how guys earn roles on the defense. Like eventually you graduate. So guy goes out, say for instance, with injury, you might get elevated. Next year, they don't re-sign someone. Now that becomes your spot. And you lay it on the line on the special teams and you earn that opportunity. And that's what he's doing right now. But to see somebody that massive on kick coverage is still insane to me, let alone have him be arguably like a special teams ace, dare we say, maybe potentially. I mean, it's a bit of a reach. It's just the first day, like first game.
Calling
I
him
don't
Kasim
remember.
Osgood now, or or is that?
I mean, you want to give him an 80, a jersey in the 80s? That look kind of weird. But nah,
you
like,
can't put an 8 on a big boy. You can't do
nah,
that.
man. Dude's going crazy on special teams. I love to see it. But again, like if we're talking about this being a weekly thing, imagine that as a kickoff returner. By the way,
oh man,
like you've already got these guys screaming downfield looking to take your head off, but we're just talking about like corners, linebackers, fullbacks. 300 pounds? Nah, that's not fair. I don't want any parts of that.
Yeah, I do want to say the Egg Boy was pretty active today defensively. He got a couple run stops. I remember. I think he was second on the team in tackles today. He was pretty good. Defensive line was not. I don't have the stats in front of me, but
he had 5 solo tackles today. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, see, I thought I saw his name pop up, but I didn't really see a lot of other D linemen pop up today, other than a Boygby. But yeah. What about Daryl Stuckey, as Nathan said? Do we
25? Oh well, Colson's out, so you can just give him Colson's number.
Yeah. We don't know
number.
when he's coming back, so just give him
really
25.
hell. Just stick him at linebacker to take up. Yeah, he's already playing edge. Let him get a little off ball linebacker too. Why not? If he can run like that on teams.
Last thing I want to say about special teams, J.K. Scott deserves a shout out for that catch on that bad snap, man. That was behind him to get that, catch that, get that down for Dicker. That was huge. That's going to go unnoticed. It's going to be, hey, the Herbert throw, the catch and run, the Dicker made field goal. But man, J.K. Scott took a very bad snap behind him, caught it, put it down right in motion for Dicker to make that field goal.
Where's Josh Harris? We can't have this happen again. When in real time, when I watched it, I'm like, was that as bad as I think it was? And when they showed the replay, I'm like, oh my gosh,
it's worse in the replay.
It was really bad. Like you tried to give it up.
Yeah,
you really tried to lose this one. Nah, I don't even remember what dude's name is. Whatever your name is, whoever it is, Josh Harris. Hopefully you're well, man. Get back soon. We can't have any of this. J.K. Scott, yes, I want to give him props and thank you for making up for that trash punt early in the game, because I keep saying this about you. When it's on the line and we need you to do your job, you almost never do it. He's a front runner. When the Chargers are winning, decent punts. Like if they're winning and it's a close game and you just need to give team a longer field to work with, he'll shank it almost every single time. I don't know what it is about that. But thank you for making up with getting that botch snap down. And again, let's finish it off with special teams. Dicker the kicker. He's the man. Period. I don't know what else there is to say about it. The dude, with all of the kicking woes we've suffered as Chargers fans, like Nate Kadings, we can go through all the kickers who left and did better once they got to other teams, all of that crap. We finally have a guy who you feel like when he goes out there, there's no question about it. And that's part of why I felt like on that last drive when I said, traditionally, I'd be like, yeah, this is over. I'm thinking, especially after the Naeem Miller Hines. Well, wait, I forgot. He's not Miller Hines anymore, which is weird. It's just Naeem Hines again. Somebody's going to have to find out what the deal is with that. Like, why do you add a name and then take it away? Anyway,
is it back to just Hines?
It's just Hines now. He's not Miller Hines anymore. No. Look at his jersey. Yeah, go look at his jersey. He's just Hines. So
what happened?
Whatever. I don't know. It's like, is it a family issue? Like, I don't know, man. That's petty though, dog. I'm petty, but I ain't that petty.
Yeah.
So listen, once that return happened and they were down at basically the 40, I'm like, oh no. If Herbert can get us 25, 30 yards, Dicker's gonna walk off this game with a game-winning kick. I had all the confidence in the world in it. And lo and behold, didn't even have to be some sort of record-setting kick. It was way within his wheelhouse because they worked their magic. Herbert was clutch, as Herbert is, for all the people who hate to admit it, and got a dub.
Yep. It says Miller Hines in the stat sheet.
Does it?
Yeah.
I swear I saw his jersey and it only said Hines.
It could be. I didn't see his jersey. I don't have his jersey in front of me, but according to the stat sheet, it's Miller Hines.
Okay.
But anyway, all right.
I wear glasses, so
yeah. All right. Well, that does it. Shout out to the second half version of Justin Herbert, who went 17 for 22, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. Shout out to Ladd making the play. Herbert getting out, getting upfield, getting out of that tackle, hitting Ladd getting upfield, J.K. Scott being able to handle that snap, Dicker making that kick, who is absolutely automatic and you never even have to ever worry about. So Chargers win.
Wait, last
Yeah.
thing.
Oh,
The,
let's do
the
it.
defense held the Dolphins to negative 11 yards in the third quarter.
Even after that, in the third quarter. Okay.
In the third quarter.
Yeah.
Which,
they had a bad third quarter.
that was amazing.
Yeah, good for them. All right. That's it for us. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to all the things, like, and make sure you join the Discord and everything else. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Big salute.